Okay, we're gonna rock and roll. Russia, of course, is the next one that gets to act. And we did remove a bunch of their influence markers before we did this because we were trying to reduce their bases. So that part I think was successful, at least for the Middle East. Um, they are going to get one in India, so we'll just have to. So their victory condition, if they have a base in Eastern Europe, if they have 9 or more influence, or if the Eurozone stability is less than 5, or either NATO or the UK have relations worse than very close. If any of those things are true when this part of it happens, I lose. So that whole very close thing is very important for over here. Um, they're nowhere close to having a base. The 9 influence, of course, they were close. I was making a dent in that. And the very close thing we have intact. They are going to get a base down here, but I'm jumping ahead of myself there. So let's rock and roll. So let's first check their posture. If they're at a posture of 1 and a sum of flip 10, oh no, they're not at a 1, they're at a 2. We gotta check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boy, we got lucky there. So none of the conditions are met to reduce it to posture 1. And none of them are at increments of 5. So all these go away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're going to get 3 back. Of course it does that. Okay, they do get 1 extra action point. Their economy is at 6. But we're not there yet. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. They're going to try to improve 2 strategic capabilities. And they're going to prioritize where they're 2 or more behind. And because they're posture 2, they succeed with a 1 to 5 instead of a 1 to 4. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to do, well, actually it's easier to roll which one's being eliminated. So that one's eliminated. These are the 2 they're going to do. So we're going to start with this one. They roll a 3, they do succeed. Then this one, they rolled an 8, they fail. So that stays right where it is. I am extremely happy with that outcome. Next, they're going to conduct espionage, and since they have a 2 posture, no, their relations are not a 1. Oh, they have to have relations of 1 or 2 and posture of 2. Their relation is a 2. I forgot to do summits. I was removing influence. We didn't do any summits here. Yeah. Alright, so they're going to do 2 espionage attempts. So let's roll for the first one. A good 10 will do them in. A 1 will not. So they're going to steal technology. And they're going to improve. Well, hold on. We have some DRMs here. So a lot of ally checks. They do get a +2 because of our cyber warfare being 2 better than them. And they don't have any DRM markers. The DRM is on China. So that 1 does become a 3. They were going to steal technology. They still do. They still do. So then we roll again. It's a 4 right here. So their cyber does go up. So now they're only going to get a minus or a plus 1 because the second roll is going to only be 1 less on cyber. Oh, come on. They steal another one. And it's a 5. Oh my gosh, their cyber is right up with us again. They stole twice. That would be a Russian thing, those sneaky Russians. Okay. Now we're going to see if they improve their economy. They rolled a 7, no change. Oh, hold on. They get to subtract 1 for here, here, and here. So that's 654. Four. They improve their economy. Next is their actions. So they have 7 plus 1 is 8. Action 1. Is there 5 terror groups in Central South Asia? I see 3. They're going to roll a d10 and add 1 if posture is 2. So that's an 8. Nothing happens. They're not at war. Skip this action if there's no civil war markers in the Middle East. We do. So we said that they had what? 6, 7, they have 8 actions. We're going through some of the easy stuff and they're not even taking actions. US regional alignment equals 3. I don't understand. US regional alignment equals 3. Regional alignment where? Oh, this is all Middle East, Syrian intervention. Yeah, we're skipping all this because there's no civil war. New conflict in Eastern Europe or Central South Asia? There's no rogue states. Man, they still have 8 actions left. Okay, one of them is going to be cyber attack. They're going to make 3 cyber attacks. 6 is on EU cohesion. And 7, they have equal strength. That is a success. Increase regional crisis by 1 box here and here. Next, they're targeting US relationship with allies. And a 10 is a big fat fail. Next, They're going after the U.S. relation with allies again. And an 8 would have been another big fat fail. That one succeeded. Okay, NATO is no longer very close. That was all one action. So they're down to 7. If any regions have 3 or more bases, influence, create a base. Okay, now they're down to 6. And then, oh my gosh, relations with Congress reduces by 1. Public approval reduces by 2. And the pro-US counter is countered. That hurts. We knew it was coming, but it hurts. Okay, now they got 6 actions left. There's no sanctions, so we're skipping. Here's one. They're doing this one no matter what. They're trying to militarize the Arctic. Usually lower is better for us. They get an improving economy. So they're at peak performance. Russia's relative strength on NATO conflict is equal or lower than NATO. It is better.
Okay, this time we got it in the bag.
Serbia and Syria are not at war, so we're skipping that. There's no UN sanctions, so we're skipping that. The Iranian missile track is not in 1 or 2, so we're skipping that. The Korean is in 1 or 2. Okay, so they're going to try to increase it, but it can't be increased though. When they rolled a 6, which is a fail anyways. So we'll count that as an action. I just tried to help Korea there. Middle East influence. If there are fewer than 3, attempt to place one. Roll a d10. And then we add our regional alignment, which is 8. And it had to be 10 or under. So that was a good waste of an action for them. Prepare for war.
Try and keep that for
Their relative strength is not less than or equal to NATO. Place a trending US anti-US counter on Russia relations and roll a 10. Okay, this always happens. A 10 is not good.
damage check. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we get to add, we're adding our influence number,
Oh, good job.
so that 10 becomes an 11. Then it's Russian influence
Oh,
and this. So since we have more than they do for influence, we make that reduce down to a 10, is what that was saying. 10 is still very bad. Okay, so for a 10 result, if Russia NATO conflict track 3 or less, or Russia's relations with track is 3 or greater, resolve 7 or 8 instead. Otherwise, Russia attacks Eastern Europe. U.S. forces go to war with Russia to defend their allies and fulfill their treaty obligations. This is a special major reward resolved the following way. Oh no. Evaluate which side is superior in the following 10 areas. Areas that are tied don't count. Higher value on each of 7 strategic capabilities.
No! Dude, I pressed Q and it just didn't work.
I have higher in 6 because they tied me here. Those freaking jerks.
No.
The current relative strength on Russia NATO conflict track. We are losing that one.
I hope I could have gotten it there, but
The number of Russian influence counters as compared to assets in Eastern Europe. We do win that one. That's +1 for us. Or let's just do -1. They're winning. Oh, I see. We're up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's +6 USA. Then they have relative strength, so that's 1 for them. Then we have more military assets in Eastern Europe, so that's 7 for us, 1 for them. And then our relations with NATO are not very close. Just one thing was off because they cyber attacked NATO or espionaged or whatever. So that counts as Russia superiority. So we're at 7, they're at 2. If the US is superior to Russia in at least 6 of the 10 areas, after initial Russian gains, a well-prepared force launches a multi-dimensional response. Russia wants peace. Remove 2 Russian influence counters from Eastern Europe or the Eurozone. They don't have any. What the hell? At least let me remove 2 from somewhere else. And 1 from anywhere else in the world, player's choice. I'm gonna for sure break up their base. Decrease Russia's state of economy by $1. My pleasure. Move the Russia-NATO conflict back to 2. That just saved me a bunch of actions. And the relative strength to +1 on the NATO side. +8 U.S. public opinion. U.S. public opinion. I'm assuming they meant public approval. +1 RWC. +2 presidential prestige. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm at 9. So is this 10, 11? There's nothing to flip over. Is there a counter over here I'm missing? Yeah, I don't know how to. Well, here. Put a 9 on it. $10, $11. We'll do that.
I still don't know how the
Plus 10 legacy points. Everybody loves a winner. Fair enough. That's a lot of legacy points. Set Russia's relations with the US track to 1 with a trending anti-US counter on it. What? I keep trying to improve this. Plus 1 alignment in both Eurozone and Eastern Europe. Plus 2 regional crisis in Eurozone. So we got a major crisis. And plus 3. Oh. We got a major crisis in both. The game continues.
Those people.
So if we wouldn't have won this,
I
that would have been
broke
an
it
automatic
down
loss.
so bad.
And then if there was some kind of stalemate, there's like a die roll check.
I messed him.
This was, I mean, obviously having our strategic capabilities was very important, and it would have been even better if they didn't move their cyber up twice. I didn't know you could put a trending anti on a level 1 like that. That makes it even worse. That means they hate us. And all I've been trying to do is get this so they're not so angry. Okay, we got 2 regional crises to deal with. And I still have actions left. So in the likely event, roll d10, determine a random region, and place a Russian influence in that region. So they have, I think that was an action, so now they're down to 2. So we're going to do this twice. So region 1 is 7. So Russia puts an influence in South America. And then 8. They put 1 in Africa. The only thing that does is it makes it easier for them to get to 9, but these are pretty benign because Russia doesn't do anything in those places typically, at least in this game. All right. I would have expected a bit better for winning, but we did get regional alignment bumps for free. So let's do the crisis for this one first. Bear with me. I'm grabbing. Every time I use this space, my dog jumps up and decides to take it. She's like jealous of these sheets. All right. We're going to roll. Okay, 6. Our stability is through the roof. It's a 7. So that becomes a 4. And then it becomes a 3 because we have a very close ally. There's no civil wars. There's no other wars. There's no rogue states. So 6, 5, 4, 3. Merge 2 level 1 groups into a level 2. If none, add a level 2. So we'll add a level 2. And then this drops back to 2. This one. Okay, an 8. Stability is 5. So no change there. There's no very close. Nothing. Increase level 2 or 1 terror group. If none, add a level 2. So they get a level 2 and an unstable state. And then this goes back to 3 because this was a plus 3. So it was 1, 2, and then 1 more for 3 after we resolved Everything.
I don't know. We only saw that one guy.
So that's where we are.
The guy we were fighting was just one guy.
It is never a lot of fun, is it? Okay, any three actions that we would like to do? Um, I did this, did I not? I don't think I ever did. Oh my gosh. I was looking to see, how's our domestic crisis look? I don't think I ever did. This was several videos ago. Place a tension counter on the cabinet focus. Jesus. And then roll a d10. A 9 is not good. Speculative bubble bursts, stock market plunges. Worsening economy. -3 public approval. -1 party relations. SOE check, which failed, and that caused the LDI to go up. And then we do checks against every other economy. So Eurozone is a 6. That passes. Russia is a 6. Come on, fail. China is a 7. They all pass. Those jerks. Okay, then that's it. So where does it reset to? I'm assuming it goes back to 2. I don't know. 27.
Why am I not in the kill feed? Everyone up there should. I should still be in that kill feed. That is not the right.
Okay, it just says when you get to 3, you do a domestic failure, which is never going to be good. The results are always bad.
Bro, all of it? Do you have a spell book or something?
So does it just stay on domestic failure? It doesn't say what happens. Oh, come on. Alright, 1 second. Okay, my journey to get this answer yielded several things. The first one is that these DARPA markers go away at the end of every turn. So I have to do another military action to put new ones on. So the fact that China and this turn tried to spy on me, that put a DARPA marker on, like we said. So there is a DARPA marker there. The problem is I would have put 2 on for the military. So I am at less than 2. I think I can still do the action. and it'll let me put 2 of them on, I believe. So that's a military action I need to very heavily do. Where is it? Yeah, request 1 action and 1 AP. On 1 strategic, you may not place it on a track that already has a counter on it. And as long as there's less than 2 capability counters on the capability track. So yeah, that's an action I would have to do twice. You don't get to put 2 markers out. I think I read that wrong last time. Anyways, that's 2 military actions I have to do. It's now 1 because China put 1 on for me. So I'll put another 1 out here. And it's actually not at the end of the turn. So during the capability phase, these go away after they're used. Okay, the other one that I learned is, remember when we hit the major crisis and this reset to 2? It does not keep going. It's just, as soon as you hit the major crisis, all the future bumps go away. I didn't know that, so that's good to know. And then the third one, this. There's domestic crisis, which is like an event that you pull out of the crisis chits here. And I read the wrong one. We did a domestic failure, which is a different one. So I resolved a 9, which was a speculative bubble that caused us to lose 3 public approval, 1 party relation, and then this moved up. So party relation goes back. This goes back. Our economy is not worsening. I'm not saying that something bad's not going to happen. It's just not going to be that bad. So for this one, we had a 9. And what did I roll? Yeah, it was an unmodified roll. So with this one I can modify. So we modify it by the lingering issues, which at the time is here. It is going to go up though. Actually, it goes up before we roll. So that goes up by 1. And then the domestic crisis goes back to the 1 box. That's what I was looking for. I was just on the wrong chart. I was reading the domestic crisis chart instead of domestic failure. That was 100% a brain fart on my part. So the number here is still 0. The public approval is 60% or better, so we do get to subtract 1, which makes it an 8. Media relations is 6 or better, so we get to turn it down into a 7. And I don't think we have domestic focus for our attributes. So by reducing it to a 7, it caused -1 public approval and -1 relation with Congress. So we do drop 1 here, and this drops 1 there. So that's how that resolves itself. Okay, so getting back to this, we have 3 actions to do. Oh, one last thing I learned. I am not allowed to do cyber attacks or summons during special activations. So these actions that are only done once per activation phase can only be done in 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the fact that I did no cyber attacks no summits here is probably a good thing. So that retconned what I did here. So any 3 actions is where we're at. Action 1, I'm going to spend an AP, get rid of 2 tensions. Action 2, I'm going to spend an AP and get rid of 2 more. This is where it gets tough. I have so much to do. I want to get rid of influence for action 3. I want to do a summit for both of those, although I know I can get more diplomatic and military actions there. And then, oh, there's another rule. Uh, Anytime you have a war or progress war, you get a free cyber attack. Um, I actually took the time to finally read the FAQ. Somebody asked in the comments if I ever read the FAQ, and my answer was no. The FAQ actually completely changes the rules on a few spots, and those are all the things I just read to you that were clarified. So this doesn't keep bumping if it hits the major crisis. Um, these DARPA things get removed. So for my third action, I'll just do the DARPA one. Let's get this on, and I'm going to put it... We'll put it there. Okay, that was a quick 3 actions, and I wanted to do summits and other stuff, but we're going to go ahead and draw a chit. So we're getting 2 crisis cards. Come on, I need the one that gives us a our guy. So European cruise liner seized by pirates. +1 regional crisis in Africa. Upgrade a 3/2 or 1 by 1 level. Make a Eurozone alignment check. I pass. You may make an attempt to retake the ship. Roll a d10 with a -1 for each Spec Ops and or Intel in the U.S. Forces boxes in Africa and the Middle East. So that's a -4 to my roll. I'm going for it. I rolled a 0. Ship retaken with no friendly casualties. -1. Crisis in Africa. Pro-US counter on Eurozone and Africa. That's good. Eurozone. Now that's the thing. I'm maxed out, but I can put a pro-US on there to... So it's going to take 3 bumps to make that go down. That's not bad. And that also means when the economy's here, I can do this. +2 public approval. Alright, that was a terrorism event, so we got rid of another one of those pesky cards. Here we go. All-out rebel assaults in Pakistan. Come on. +2 regional crisis and CS Asia. Of course. Major crisis. We do have to stop and resolve the major crisis. Hold a 9. Stability doesn't change anything. No allies. No civil wars. No rogue states. So a 9 is a 9. Decrease regional stability. 1 box. If there's a US ally in a region, place a trending anti-US counter in region and refugee crisis. Alright, I just realized something. I can't do the DARPA action. I rolled a 3. I gotta get the very close NATO back. That was my third action. Alright, so we gotta now, we did this, and now we gotta roll for the refugees. I rolled a 4.
Peace out.
It's in Central South Asia. Place a -1 AP on Russia. And 1 on a US ally in the region. So, always a pleasure to give them a -1. And yeah, the ally would be, of course, India. They get a -1. I guess I'll put that there. Or maybe there. Okay, now back to this. Place 2 tension counters on India. Roll a d10. You may spend 1 AP to subtract 1 from the roll. I'm going to do that before looking. So it becomes a 4. Government counterattacks, -1 regional crisis. Reduce a group. Then it goes into the reshuffle. That one was not a fun one. And now we draw again. We're getting 1 card. There's another terrorism event. +1 domestic crisis. We're drawing every one of them. There's how many cards in here? 23 of them, and we drew. This is like our 4th one. 1 tensions counter on our cabinet. Roll a d10. Increase a 3, 2, 1 by 1. That's here, so we'll increase this one to a 2. Make a Homeland Security check. I just failed. +1 domestic crisis. We got another failure. -3 public approval. -1 Homeland Security. Level 1 and CONUS. I am rolling horrible when it comes to defending against these. The media slant does give me a +2. And this goes back in the reshuffle. So this doesn't even go away because I failed. Right, and then we gotta resolve this again. This goes to here, so that becomes a 4. -2 public approval. The media is attacking me. -2, -1 media relations. And then make a cabinet check. Come on, pass this. 6. I passed. Alright. Otherwise, this would have gone away. Alright. The thing that stinks is this moved up. That's an auto loss. Okay. I gotta have to draw again. 2 more of these fun cards. A cascading event. Place a worsening economy counter on Eurozone. And +1 crisis on Eurozone. That's just the first part. +1 domestic crisis. Come on. -2 approval. Move healthcare reform to #1 on the priority track. So we're just swapping them around. One tension counter in the cabinet. Media slant gives me a +1. This one's discarded. We had a lot of good ones for a while there. Ally Rogue Axe, Group C. Group C is Australia. First. Alright, so we're very close. They get 2 actions. They can decrease in any region. They can try to stabilize their region. Their stability 6. There's nobody at war. They can do intel and remove stress. They have 1. We're going to remove, we're going to try to deal with crisis, humanitarian aid. They're going to go for Europe first. Again. Come on, did they really fail both times? Oh no, 1 to 8 succeeds. So they at least got that to go down. Then that's it. So now we're going to roll against their table. We rolled a 5. They get a 2, which makes it a 7. There's no terror groups. There's 3 tension counters on China, so that becomes an 8. There's no wars. So doing an anti-terror campaign. Reduce 1 level 3-2 or 1 terror group in Asia Pacific by 1 level. There's nobody there. It did absolutely nothing. Next up is Israel. Look at this monster. So Israel is going to reduce their regional crisis by 1. They're going to raid this level 4 terror group. And they have +1 AP, so they're gonna... Oh no, they got +2 AP. They're gonna raid and then raid again. This is just a mess. Look at how many of these they had. I don't think it hurts to look. They have 10. They're going to get 5 back. They get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to their die roll. But let's get back to business at hand. They reduce this to 0, which is what we wanted. Now they're going to try to raid that level 4 group. So I'm just getting out the world chart. SOF raid, page 9. Okay, so was that 3 for the raid? I can't remember. I don't think it was. The 2 is even better. Okay, so they get a -1 because there's a US Intel and Special Ops. Our strategic warfare, cyber warfare is not better because Russia tied us. And there's an influence marker, so it gets a +1. So it stays at a 2. It completely won. I am looking at the wrong chart. Let's go back. Back to the beginning. -1 if there's a special US ops. Right, so we're down to 1. Another -1 if there's a focused intel, which there is, so we're at 0. This is not in Eurozone or Eastern Europe. -2 if it's an Israeli raid, so we're at -2. Then it's -1 because it's a level 4 terror group, because we have to add 1. And then there's 3 or more Russia and China influence counters. So we add another 1. So that makes it back to 0. So at 0 or less, we got him. High value terror leader killed. Survivor scatter. Decreased terror group by 2 levels. Move terror group back to gathering. So this 4 drops to a 2 and goes back to gathering. +3 public approval. +1 legacy point. And it has an asterisk. Only apply if it's a US raid, not a joint action. So never mind. We don't get those. Use captured intel to make an intel attempt against one other terror group in region. If it's a joint raid with an ally, the intel attempt is an automatic success. Then choose either a -1 regional crisis or +1 action point. I'm going to choose +1 action point. And then we'll go ahead and do the intel check against this one right here. A 1 moves it over. I'm sorry, that was automatic. The next action was another raid. I'm going to take that 1 because that means this gets obliterated. And they get another action point. So they still have 2 action points left. We could have reduced some tension markers. What else can they do? I mean, we could definitely keep moving these markers over. Let's de-escalate something. Israel, Iran. That's worth doing. Let's try to de-escalate that. An 8's a failure. So let's try one more time. A 4 is a success. So this moves it back to 3. Not that I think it matters. They do hold their own in these wars. But it's done. There was a lot of actions they got to do there. They really broke up those terror groups, which was nice. And now we got this nonsense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there was 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go back. We roll. Ooh, we rolled a 2. We add 6. That makes it an 8. Becomes a 10 because there's 2 influence counters from Israel. an 11 because there's a rogue state. They're at a 3, so they get 2 more for 13 because of the missile track. Israel-Iran conflict track is at a 3, so they get 1 more for 14. They're going to strike Iran. Decrease Iran nuke track by 1 box. I love that. So this goes down 1. That removes a tension from Iran, Israel. One tension removed from all of them. Okay. Israel gets surprise. -1 to Middle East regional alignment. +2 to Middle East crisis. This is going to go up to, again, oh, wrong one. 2, that -1 to alignment hurts. I guess that's why we should have removed all those tension markers, huh? Instead of not caring. Okay, well, now we gotta set up a war. Israel's the attacker. Iran is the defender. And this is a air missile war. So the key thing here is they get a free cyber attack because of the war, even though it's not listed anywhere here. That was in the FAQ. But let's set up their strengths and then we'll resolve that. The cyber attack is done before the war. So Iran and an air missile has a 3. And then Israel air missile is 6. So they're 2 to 1 against Iran. And then for the cyber attack, where there's so much bouncing around here, the cyber attack has to be against who they're at war with. So we can, for example, cyber attack the Iran missile track again. Or we can try to go after their ability to go to war. And then I forgot something. So this automatically goes to here. And then it is +2 Israel. So that's 6. Becomes an 8. Alright, we're going to go after the nuclear track because this thing could never be too low. So let's roll. A 9 is not going to cut the mustard. A 9 is no effect. Well, hold on. They get to do stuff. DRMs. Russia's tied with us, so we get no bonus there. It is a -1 because it's against Iran. And a -2 because it's Israel. So it is -3. So that 9 becomes a 6. It basically results in the same thing. They can't increase. So that's fine. Leave it be. I mean, if they would have went after the other thing, it would have, oh, they should have. Now that I think about it. This is much better, since they already had the marker on the nuke track. I'm sorry, I'm going to retcon this. So if we went after their infrastructure, that actually destroys one of these influence markers. and it decreases a terror group in the Middle East. So they completely like remove this one. I mean, both of those were extremely handy. All right, now we got to roll for the response. It's always that one. +1 tensions on everybody. And then have to roll and apply a +1. Israel-Iran conflict track moves up. That's alright, they're at war. Who cares? Then we roll again. Ah. It's so funny. Because I rolled that 8, if I would have rolled lower, this would have been just fine. But because I rolled that 8, the influence counter comes right back out, and the terror group goes up to 2. Iran sucks. Alright. All that was setting up the war. We did our free cyber attack. Now we do the actual battle. So let's roll. 6. We have some modifiers we're going to get to do. This is an air missile. They do have surprise, so it becomes 5. It's not a US war. Israel's at war, which makes it a 3. And Russia and China does not have a base. At least I don't think they do. We broke that up. Yeah. So we moved it down to a 3. That's really good. So a 3 for an air missile war. And this is 2-to-1 odds. They move 1 to the left. And the defender loses 1 value. So now it's going to be 4-to-1 next time. Alright, that's it. No, it's not it. Then they're going to cause regional crisis to go up. And I think we have to resolve. Nope, they cause it to go up 1 more. And the war continues. So I'm just making sure. So if neither side wins, the only thing that matters is US stuff. Nothing else changes here. Alright, so that was Israel's action. Then we go to India. India has a -1 AP. They have a lot of tension markers. The regional crisis is 1. They can only do one thing. We're going to go ahead and remove 2 tension. And then roll. So we rolled a 6. That makes it an 8. There's no 3 or 4 level terror group. India, China is fine. India, Pakistan is also fine. So it stays at an 8. we're going to buy fighters from Russia. Add 1 Russia influence in their region. You jerks. It's going to make another base. That didn't do me any good at all. What the heck? I thought you're supposed to be our ally. Alright, and then rogues get to go. There's only 1. We're doing only A, so we're going to roll. We rolled a 5. Place a level 1 terror group in both US and Eurozone. Okay, because stability's up there, max is 3. Then we're going to check unstable states in Middle East and Africa. Middle East has none. Africa has 2. Stability is super low, so it gets a +1. A 9. Whoops, roll. I flipped it. An 8 becomes a 9. 2 more civil wars in the Africa there. Whew. Okay, we did all that, and then we do cabinet focus, which this sucks because we have 3 tension markers, so it means I ignore those. Although I would say all 3 of those are fine. Would have been nice to move that up. So let's start with Homeland Security. Decrease 1 terror group in US by 1 level. If none, +1 to Homeland Security, which I would like to do. But I'm dealing with all this nonsense. Then number 2, or we're just going to go down. That one skips. Then this one. I fail. I really needed that one. Number 3. I also fail. I really needed that one too. That was not a good action. -1 to media relations. 2 domestic actions and then legislative. So domestic action 1. So we're going to spend an AP to get rid of 2 of these. Domestic action 2. It would be nice to move this up. I get bonuses if it's all the way here. And we are at the legislative segment. So let's go for it. I need a 1 or a 2. There's no modifiers. Oh, we did it. Okay, that moves up. That is excellent. We will go here. So our legislative ratings blow them out of the water. Yeah. So we have a greater than 3. That means we get to move 3 bills in any direction we'd like. So we're going to move this bill 1 in that direction. Next up, the number in the box in the bipartisan group, which is 2, is what we can pass. So we're going to roll to see who chooses the first bill. It's even, so we choose the first one. So it's either cybersecurity or energy independence. And given where we're at, I'm going to do cybersecurity. So we're going to roll, apply the DRM from pending the box. So the DRM is -2, is what I'm trying to say. Here we go. That is excellent. We're in 1 to 3. So we pass cybersecurity. Then they're going to try to pass social security because they get their turn. And that's fine. We're going to roll. And even with a -2, that does not pass. Next, we're going to choose to sign the bill. Now, this one requires me to look at that chart again because I definitely don't have this memorized. So we get a -1 to our DRM here. Excuse me, because we're in the cooperation track. And if I roll an adjusted 1, so if it gets down to 1, it's a landmark bill. So let's remember that. Is it a D10? Yes. A 3 is an excellent roll. We're going to be in great shape here. So we're going to get cybersecurity. I am definitely signing it. With a 3 -1, that makes it a 2. That's still not enough to be a landmark bill. So no legacy points. And what number is that? That's number 12. +1 capability. That's what I was looking for. So we move our capability up by 1. And +3 public approval. Oh no, that only happens if it's landmark. My apology. We just get +2 public approval. That's it. That wasn't that exciting. Okay, but we're not done. So now I pass something that was my number 1. So since it's my number 1, I get a legacy point and 4 action points. That's the big one. Legacy point, 1, 2, 3, 4 action points. That was good. Okay, so we get past this. We did not pass a landmark bill. How the sausage is made. We're going to roll d6. Lower is always better. Got to do maneuvering and drama table. So we have a 2. We get a -1 because of cooperation, so we're at 1. -1 because RWC is 7 or greater. So we're at 0. And we're at -1 because of public. And we outnumber Congress, I mean we're at -2. So we have a 0 or less. Good relationships yield approval and progress. If public approval is 60% or higher and relations is 7 or higher, move a bill of your choice left by 1 box. Draw and add 1 friend.
I died to an aloe.
Alright, so we'll move this bill over. And then we're going to...
I was beating his butt. Like, we got into a turn battle.
So we got another radical, which I don't like that, because that now means... yeah, I mean it is what it is, but now the radical's going to make me lose my cooperation. But that's how the drama works. When adding a congressional friend or opponent, there's some kind of congressional friends rule. I'm going to just check it real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything profound. Yeah, it's just saying use the radical side. Alright, introduce some new bills. We may now voluntarily remove any of your opponent bills currently in any box. I currently only have 2 bills out there, so I'm okay with that staying. So we're going to get to roll d6 to see who gets to choose the first. They do. So they're going to choose number 1, which is healthcare reform.
People killed me.
And how do I get these out
I
there?
didn't step off the beach and they killed me, so yeah, I'm not gonna report it. I don't really care.
Alright, so then I get to put one out there. Now I can try to go down these lines and get energy independence, which is something both of us need. But I think I'm going to get Homeland Security out there. Just because of our situation.
No, but I want to buy diamonds. Then I can't buy diamonds.
So there we go. We introduced 2 more. Now we got 4 out there. Got to be mindful. There's a max of 5. The media result.
And if you're over 4, you can't do that.
I'm going to move 3
So like if you're gonna
and
grow,
then up 1.
sure, but I don't want to do that.
Scandal investigation. We do have more radicals now, so this does drop. We get to do 1 free action of any type because of what I just did. I'm going to remove the tension.
I'm up by.
There's a lot I want to do. I got to get the DARPA out there, but that's what I'm going to do. Next, we draw a chit.
Sort of in the middle of the woods, and I don't know.
It's going to be just 1.
I can't smell it. It looks like springs.
I know it's in here. I'm going to have to shuffle. I can't read them. But we're looking for a white bottom.
But I'm not direction.
I don't see any. I'm trying not to read them. I just want to see if the...
So not really the fastest.
Yeah. I'd have to look at the scenario book. Maybe it really is in the 3rd year. Right, so I'll shuffle. Here we go.
I might just do my trade.
Cooperation at the UN increases world relief in the region with the highest regional crisis. That would be here. A 1 to 8's all necessary. Perform 1 UN infrastructure aid with the lowest stability.
No, I'm serious. There was a Rex fight that I did. Wrote it.
So 2, 4, 6.
It was funny. I laughed. I see that.
Only a 1 to 5 counts. It actually worked. Oh, that's another thing that was in FAQ. If the max 5
They have like
turns into a max 4, and let's say there was 5 out here, they just stay. You don't have to merge them and make them grow. They just stay. It's just that new ones would cause them to grow, and no additional new ones could be added until that number gets to this or lower. That's what I wanted to do. Crap. If the world opinion is 6 or higher, we get 1 free UN action. We don't. It was 6 or higher. It went down because of that 1 card.
I mean, you could get hit once.
So now we move here to focus national intelligence, and then we get 1 action for everybody. This is very important. So the focused intelligence, I always forget what that does.
Which is sort of dumb. I don't like that in my personal opinion.
That's right. So we're going to roll for this region first. I rolled an 8.
Yeah, but because trike is so much heavier than Rex, it gets like the scout.
And I have recon, so that becomes a 7. I am cyber, that becomes a 6. This makes it a 7. So a 3, 2, or 1 goes in the locating box.
Had to have been what 38 at least 8
Alright, then we're going to do Middle East.
power of 8. I'm actually right.
We rolled a 2. Move a 3, 2, or 1 into targeting box.
23.
Effects on war.
I had a 4 out of 100,000
Choose 1.
chance of that happening. If you
We
did
get an additional surprise bonus. If US or ally is currently involved in a war, we can add 2 strength to their side. Or if there's a civil war,
my turn's better.
we can try to resolve it with a -2.
There's no leg break.
There's no civil wars, so we're going to add 2.
I mean, he can run away, sure, but if he goes in and out, I'll get 2 hits on him each time. So it's actually equal damage, really, and I have more health.
We're going to add 2. So that puts them at 10. So this is now 5 to 1. Alright, that is done. Now we get a lot of actions. And this is important.
Yeah, basically, when he runs at you, you just want to run at him and then turn.
Because we're going to get a lot of actions here, and then we're going to get more actions there. 4 more, in fact. Okay, so let's start with
It's only 25.
me taking a break. I need another drink.
And then if it's
Okay, so we have a lot to do. I'm going to start with military.
Rex full efficient,
The first action is we're going to get the DARPA counter out.
what would he do?
And yeah, I'm putting it here. So we at least got those 2 out now. Next action, I have a lot of choices. We can cyber attack something. And that cyber attack does not have to be a rogue state. I'm learning more and more that that's a very powerful action because they do it to me too, those jerks.
Yeah, and also the rules for Herbie aggressiveness is very,
So
very
we got rogue state, Iran missile track, critical government. Now we're not allowed to do it more than once.
threatening. You can go.
North Korea missile track, North Korea government, Russian economy,
Stand your pros.
Russian infrastructure,
Fight. They do anything. Even if
China
friendly with
infrastructure, China at war. I guess we can go after that. There is no China economy one though, which I find interesting. But so like I could do a cyber attack to try to reduce the Russian economy because they're getting all these extra actions
we don't, yeah, you don't have
when they take their turn. There's so much to do. I think it is a very viable one. Do a cyber attack. Don't need to do arms sales or anything like that.
he would have timing.
We could do the humanitarian aid thing with the military. We haven't done that in a while. It does put pro-US counters on places. We could remove footprints potentially. Reduce crises. We did the rapid capabilities. Gather intel. Yeah, that's it. So really it's between cyber attack or do a humanitarian aid thing here to prevent the trend of the US from going down. So we could try to counter this because we need the alignment to go up so we can go after these markers. I think that's more important than trying to cyber attack Russia's economy at this point, which could backfire. So we're going to go ahead and do the military aid. Ooh, a 3 is a great roll. It's a great roll. It adds 1 because there's influence, but our Secretary of Defense has a 2, so that's a -1. That becomes a 2. So we face a trending pro-US, so we get to take that off. And receive a goodwill counter, We need 3 if we want to do the peace prize thing again. But this is helping us to do a UN action, which is another reason I wanted to do it. Remove 1 footprint predator from the region, and only if there's none, -1 regional. We will remove this guy. Alright, so he's done. Now we got our VP is going to do a diplomatic, and we're going to try to remove this Russian influence. And we rolled a 6, which I believe does the job. I need to check. 6 is perfect. Absolutely perfect. So we kicked all influence out of that area. So now I'm looking. We can get rid of the China influence here. I gotta improve alignment before I can do those. I'm thinking. So the reason I wanted the VP to do that is because our Secretary of State, we're going to do our 2 summits. We have more diplomatic or military actions down here, so that's where we can do our cyber attack if we need to. We're going to have war progress, which is going to make this go up because Israel's at war. So I need to be mindful there. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and let's do our summit with Russia. I'm going to put this up here. Russia summit used. Alright, let's get to work. The work of helping the American people. Russia is at 1, so we're going to do like we always do. We have to work on improving relations, and that's all we're going to get to do. Which, this is sort of like a... I mean, it's like putting a finger in one dam and then clogging up another. So here we go. That was not a roll. I rolled an 8. That's no good. Remove any sanction or give them an improving economy. Oh, alright. So this goes away. That's all I get out of it. Then we roll. That is not good. We did get 100%. Usually we get another pro-US. All we got out of that deal was 2 public approval. And we're already maxed out. And we removed one of their tensions. That wasn't very helpful. Okay, I really wanted to do these. Because if I got this to move just even in the slightest. Alright, China is at 3, so our next one, we are going to improve with China. A 5 is a much better roll. And since we're at a 3 with China, we get a 2 problems. So one of them is improved relations. A 5 means they agree. So we get pro-US. And then for the second action, we are at 3, so we can control nuclear, contain a rogue, but not in the Middle East. I need Russia for that. We can do an anti-terror campaign. We can try to get a civil war ceasefire. We can try to reduce a regional crisis.
Oh, no.
by stabilizing a region.
I remember. I remember.
Do we have a crisis in?
Flyers hasn't been on for like weeks.
That's at 0, so that doesn't do any good.
That person.
We'd be able to remove attention from everybody though here.
My hero said
That would have been nice. Maybe it's still worth it just for that. I don't want to do improve
there is a.
trade. I think because we could do a regional anti-terror campaign.
So
That isn't horrible,
you know in
but I think I'm gonna
was a person with a voice.
let's try to get a civil war ceasefire in Africa because that is one of the regions we can go. We also have the one in Central America. Let's do
I don't know. I
yeah,
feel
let's
like
do
this is,
Africa. So I'm gonna roll. All right, we got a 7. So for a 7, they want to remove any sanctions and get a +1 action point or improving counter on their economy. My choice. Well,
it's the boredom.
this doesn't hurt me one bit, so we'll do that. That doesn't give them an extra action like the other one would have. So I said yes. For one civil war, replace it with a ceasefire. I said we were doing one of these. I don't know why these. Somebody's got to make these so they go back in. I don't know how you do that. So we put a ceasefire on. Then roll a d10. Lower is much better. For a 3, we get a pro-US counter. So the alignment goes up, which is good. We can start getting rid of influence there. Okay, and then we got to re-roll to see if the summit was successful. Oh, that's going to be a good outcome. So we did 2 of 2. We rolled a 3, +3 public approval, +1 AP.
You could like get some work done and like have it on the side. You're not doing anything. Kill some AI here and there.
Remove 2 tensions from China
Drink some water.
and put a pro-US counter with China relations. Alright, so we got China to move up to 4. We're going to get rid of 2 tension markers,
Yeah, actually, if you
which is good.
up one of your dudes to server 2 for keep
Alright, so those 2 summits are done. And that means he's done. So then we have 2 diplo or domestic actions. And I want to.
pretty big.
There's a lot of things to do here, but we're going to focus on this here. I know I got to do this too, but the legislation is done for the year. We got to get this to improve. So. So first thing we want to do is address a domestic crisis. It's a cabinet effectiveness check. Okay, so I'm going to do a presidential action first then. So for the presidential action, we're going to corral the cabinet. And I'm going to spend 1 AP for a DRM.
You can run down to Sarah, by the way.
Oh, what a perfect roll.
Yeah.
Oh, is that not the right roll? Nope, I gotta do this one. It's the cabinet improvement table.
Because I'll
Yeah,
bet you it's
so I
got
gotta do this one. I rolled a 1. That's what I need is a 1. A 4 is not what I need. Okay, so I spent a DRM, which makes this a 3. That puts us to no change, but we got hope.
he should.
I have no tension counters here, which is good. I get to subtract the domestic rating of my chief of staff, which is this guy. It's just a 1, but that 1 puts me down to a 2, which means I get to put an improving marker on the cabinet effectiveness track, and that puts us up to 7, which is what I wanted. Okay, so president action is done. Now the first domestic action is we're gonna. Actually, we rolled a 1. I'm keeping it, Mister. The 1 is used for addressing a domestic crisis. It just needed to be a roll against this here, so it needed to be a 7 or less, which is a fairly reasonable roll. You get to add your. I get a -1 because it's a 60% or higher public approval, and then I get to do a -1 for domestic rating. So, geez Louise, I get to. I mean, that's basically a 1 to 9. Whatever I roll would have been a success. And just by passing, I get to decrease the domestic track,
If you get chased, I can't really help you.
which that's what's important. I need to get that away from the failure. Then we're going to try to reduce this for the other action. And it's a cabinet effectiveness check again.
There's a bunch of carnage groups here.
I may only do that if this is 0, so I'm going to just do this one again then. Oh, wrong roll.
You can attack them.
Easy peasy. I got that down to 0. That took both my actions.
Yep. No,
So now we're done with all of that. And we did a China summit too, wherever that's located.
oh, you see, there's a sub.
So now we're here. We're going to do four Diplo and military actions. Diplo 1 is we're going to remove China. Done. Diplo 2 is we're going to remove China again. I'm going to spend an action point to reroll. I can't remember. Does an 8 pass?
I don't know why they're trying to mess with us.
I think it's a 1 to 7. Nope, it's a 1 to 6.
Subkick is really
Alright, so that pat failed. So Diplo 3, we're going to go again. AP. Done. We got rid of all influence from the Middle East.
You want me to kill him?
And move that down. So this is fully clear.
Good
We can
job,
get rid of this
good
one.
job.
That would be our last action, where we can do our cyber attack.
Oh, he is the.
Going against that rogue state might be a good idea. Yeah, we're going to cyber the rogue.
This isn't their body yet.
So here's our roll. I haven't looked at the table. A 9 is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Come on.
We're gonna keep body. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we keep body.
We get a -1 because we're ahead of Russia. So it becomes an 8. It becomes a 7 because it's against a rogue state. So it's a 7.
Did you hear a 3 call at all? Okay. Because I was looking at these two and they did not.
So we don't do anything to the rogue state. We just reduce another terror group in the area by 1.
I don't really know what to play with.
And then I got consequences.
Take you out.
The 1 is flawless. So it better be. We hardly got anything for that.
Oh, you got aloe?
Sorry, getting a drink.
Yeah.
So we've burned through those 4 actions like nothing. So much to do still, folks. Get rid of influence.
Stand up.
We can get rid of all these if I can get that to 0. We're poised to get rid of this one.
These guys don't have body in this.
My summits need to get these relationships to improve. Somehow we need their economies not to be good. I don't know how.
You did. He's not beating.
Anyways, thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.